No doubt about it now. This guy has to be in the All-Madden team.
DJ Mosky, let's get it. We the champions here in Los Angeles. We doing numbers, bringing home victory straight out the huddle. I met the plug, introduced to my brother. My squad superior, ain't none above us. We doing numbers, gang in the building, we taking it over. Call the promoters. I just put up in this thing with my soldiers. I blew it.
Well, ain't it nice to see a familiar face? Welcome to another year of foot accessibility settings.
Entering settings screen, you have 19 options. Menu narration option is set to off is selected.
Yeah, homies got me pouring this. We get awards, but we give God the glory. I'm shooting my shot, and most times I be scoring. Do this for my city, I bring on the trophy. Feel like Freddie Mercury, we the champions here in Los Angeles. We doing numbers, bringing home victory straight out the huddle. I met the plug, introduced to my brother. My squad superior, ain't none above us. We doing numbers, gang in the building, we taking it over.
Feeling like I can't miss. Baby, it's all in the wrist. You really wanna be the boss, it's expensive. Ain't the real champ if you never defend it. Put in that work, I'ma make them remember. I just broke down hella trees, yelling timber. Stand in the line, they put me in the center. It blow their mind when they see how I'm winning. Went back and doubled up, now you in trouble. My all hustle, my diamonds are huddled up. TGOD got this off the muscle. That's me about my life, man, I love it, I love it. Got so many rings, I need room for another one. Been through the pain, now it ain't no more struggle. My team win the game, put our face on the cover, brother, we the champions.
Here in Los Angeles, we doing numbers, bringing home victory straight out the huddle. I met the plug, introduced to my brother. My squad superior, ain't none above us. We doing numbers,
accessibility settings.
taking it over.
Yeah. So that style not for you, but it's for me.
Greenfield's finest. Boss.
Yeah.
DJ Drama.
Never let a wishbone grow where backbone should. Belly been tell you the dash on wood. 10 payments, the back end good. Got sense, but they act no good. Shot through the lot of the starstruck. Hop in the ride and we took in the truck, couple in the truck, and they all. They might say what's up when they see me around the city, but really no reason to talk much.
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland, our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings, and coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today, and Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. And I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loves so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football and brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game? And he takes this near the 25, just a little pass there, call it the 26. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And, Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden, this is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. The coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
And they go play action with Favre. And he bats it away, and it falls down incomplete.
How about some applause for the defense there? They forced him to throw that one into coverage, and just like that, they're staring at a fourth down. Well done.
They're going on fourth down. It's Favre. And he takes us up to the 40-yard line before being corralled. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
And that nearly an interception here on this opening drive, but he gets a reprieve. It's third down. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
From the midfield stripe, they'll look to throw. That'll be caught by Rice. And past the 35, he'll be dropped a yard or two shy of the 30. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, in 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
Throwing is far. And this one is incomplete.
This defense has certainly played well so far in this game, and the coverage has been tight on just about every throw. Forced a few here so far in this game, and now it brings up fourth down.
And he missed it. It's no good, and this will remain a scoreless game. So a very long drive, play after play, gets him down the field, but wouldn't you know, it winds up yielding nothing.
And over on the sideline, you've got a kicker who feels worse about it than anyone. There's nothing you hate more than seeing the look on your linemen's faces after all their hard work getting you in position.
The lonesome kicker. And not a lot of daylight, not really any daylight inside, as he's going to be stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Brings up second down. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times, and he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root, as did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrom, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
And this is away. It's a high kick, and he got all of it. Yeah, he was looking for the checkout bounce, didn't get it. That scoots all the way into the end zone now for a touchback. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. Now, the way their last drive ended, boy, it was frustrating. They had a pretty good drive going. It was sustained, and then it stalled out, Charles, and they missed the field goal and got nothing out of it.
Is that insult to injury? Because they had such a sustained drive, as you noted. So you know, for the head coach, it almost felt like a little bit of failure to send out the field goal unit and then to not even see the ball go through the post. What a bummer on that last drive for them. Got to pick themselves up from that one.
Now a throw here to his running back. And he's taken down. It's a gain of 3 from the 17 to the 20. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out in either the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three Rivers Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
The AFC offense set to take their next drive. They've been playing the field position game thus far. No score, second quarter as they come up on 1st and 10. And he is going to lose yardage here. Tackle for loss by Lawrence Taylor. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders got out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim him. Strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Blitnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision, and we all remember the one that sealed it. The grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders have their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champ.
Now the AFC going to use the first of their timeouts as the stoppage will come with a little under a minute to go in this first half. On the toss, here's Allen. And he can only get this to the 42-yard line, and that is not near enough. Now a second timeout called for by the defense as they get the stoppage with a little over 50 seconds to go in the first half. So now on comes the field goal unit, and wow, this is no ordinary try here. This will be spotted just shy of midfield, a 59-yard attempt. And this is good. It was running out of gas there at the end, but he winds up getting just enough on it. And we have action on the scoreboard just before halftime. It's 3-0. So they're able to end that drive with 3 points in this one-possession ball game.
And ideally, you want to end every drive with points. Most quarterbacks would tell you, let's end it with a kick, right? A PAT, that's number one. Field goal you'll take. Punts, you really don't want to do that. In this case, they'll take the field goal and get prepared for the rest of the game.
The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And with them trailing, there is still enough time to try to string a few plays together, maybe get into field goal range. Well, the pressure gets home, and the AFC comes up with a sack. Javon Curse just would not be denied. That's a loss of 7. Sacks, a growing theme in this first half. This is 2nd and long. Now Favre. This throw incomplete, nearly picked off. And with his pedigree, he doesn't drop many of those. But 3rd down coming up.
And this drive is almost over before it began thanks to a great defensive effort. Sack on 1st down, followed by an incompletion. One more good rep, and they get off the field.
Flush to his right, and he's going to go down. Couldn't get a throw off with a... So we're at halftime of the John Madden Legacy game, and now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. And we will not have a run back here as the second half starts with a touchback. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Their defense has pitched the shutout. Now they probably need to deliver a little breathing room, maybe making a 2-score game as they've got it 1st and 10. And this has been a familiar sight all afternoon as they stop him behind the line. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had. one that connected with everyone.
And he'll be taken down, but not before he gets into enemy territory. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
And that nearly the pick that they needed. He couldn't pull it in, though, and it's 4th down. Here's Ray Guy now as he'll kick it away for the 2nd time. And this will depend on the spot as it sails out of bounds. And they'll say it sailed out at the 10-yard line. And for an offense that is struggling, this is not where you want to start from. Great punt.
Fantastic punt. And for all those who wonder, what do punters do during the course of practice each and every day? The best ones do what we just saw there. Work on positioning the football and helping their team.
Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And, Charles, we've seen almost 3 full quarters now, and neither offense can really get it going. Neither has hit the end zone, and neither side seemingly can make that big play.
But the game hasn't been devoid of action because these two defenses, they've taken over and they've slugged it out. But I think you're exactly right. We're at that stage of the game now where one of these offenses, if they make a big play, that could be the difference.
A quick throw, but incomplete. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him. And now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
And the NFC punt team out there now as the drive goes backwards, so he's on to punt it away. So a short drop, but he's able to get it out, and this is a good kick. Three quarters complete now in the John Madden legacy game from Oakland. It's the AFC on top, and we're back to the Coliseum after this. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. They're holding on right now to that slim advantage in a one-score game, and you hear a lot about 2-minute offense and 4-minute offense. Obviously, the 4-minute offense applies here. How do they run that effectively?
Yeah, really what the 4-minute offense is you're just trying to grind the clock. So you want consistent gains, steady gains. Doesn't have to be big plays, but it has to be plays that gets first downs and keeps the ball away from your opponent.
But certainly throwing the ball is in the mix here.
It certainly is. Just make sure that you're careful with it. And again, get those first downs, keep possession of the football.
Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told them, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden, the video game, continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. They start on the ground here at Sanders. And he finds a little bit of room, enough for 4 yards. It'll be second down. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, a Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden, the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, "Today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all."
With that incompletion, reality is staring them right in the face. This entire game is down to the next snap.
They'll try and throw for it with Favre. Oh, and a heck of an effort there as he'll make the diving catch. You think about John Madden in his retirement years post-broadcasting. He was about as active as most people are in their working years. I mean, he continued to play a key role on the NFL's competition committee. He was available to a wide range of people as a tutor, as a mentor. He continued to teach the game of football to all who would listen. And, Charles, as you and I know, he even continued to provide input, a lot of input, on the Madden video game.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks that design and build this game certainly look forward to their yearly visits out to the Madden compound that he had out in the East Bay. They pitch the new aspects of each year's game to him, get his feedback, and then get to sit back and spend 6 hours with him on a Sunday, watching football and listening to him tell stories and talk even more ball. It had to be an incredible experience for all involved.
He's back to throw. And that's going to be incomplete. The coverage too good there. The contact popped the ball free, and it's fourth down.
Partner, they've got one chance left to keep this one going, and I think for you and me, let's think along with their offensive coordinator now. Has to think back, cycle through every play of this contest, and remember what's worked and what hasn't. Because right here, he needs the best play of the game in order to keep this one alive.
Try it here. He's back to throw. And able to haul it in is Kittle. And he'll take this to the other side of midfield before going out of bounds. They keep the game alive, at least for the moment, as it's a first down. They'll look to throw. And he can't get a throw away. He's taken down. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as they get the stoppage with 65 seconds remaining. So now 20 yards to go on second down after the sack. Work to be done. And incomplete on the deep ball. An incomplete pass on that last play, and that means they'll need to come up with something here on third down. He'll look to throw. And this nearly intercepted. Probably should have been. Had he caught it, it would have sealed it. Instead, one more chance coming up on 4th down.
That means it's just one last chance left, and this has to be a first down or a touchdown, or this game's over.
As expected, they're going for it to keep the drive alive. And he overshot him there. It's out of bounds, incomplete. They had to go for it with such little time remaining. And the AFC is going to get the football back in great field position. Here's Allen. And he is going to lose yardage here. Now the NFC going to take a timeout, their second, as they get the stoppage with just under 50 seconds remaining in the 4th. Second and long, but you got to figure this almost certainly another run. They stay on the ground with Allen. And nothing but green grass here, middle of the field. And he's across for the touchdown. And in the final minute, that should just about seal it. Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. It's up and good, and that'll increase their lead to 10-zip. It only took him 2 plays there to find the end zone. The last one, the long run, getting him in for 6 points. And here's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. This fielded right at the goal line. Now a crease here as he's past the 30. And pretty good field position here. He's out of bounds right at the 35. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. They might be thinking this is close to a lost cause here. Got to play it out. What do they need to do?
Well, they have a thought process in mind already, but they can't get ahead of themselves. They know that they need to score quickly.
Yep, 2-score game.
Onside kick and get the ball back and then score again, but they can't worry about the last 2 points. The only thing that matters is scoring quickly, then they'll take it from there.
And that's caught inside the 35. And he takes this one down almost all the way to the 30. Now the NFC going to use their 3rd and final timeout as they'll stop it with 25 ticks remaining on the clock. So the big play changes the complexion of things. Here's 1st and 10 just outside the 30. And that went a little too high as it's knocked away and incomplete.
I like the thought process there. They connected on a big play, and sometimes you find the defense vulnerable. So they went for the bigger shot, went for it all on that one. This time, they were ready for it.
That's going to be caught. And they are able to stop him, but he does take it all the way to the 2. So it's a win here for the AFC on an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. Before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports,
time to decide how you're going to make your Madden NFL 23 debut. You could put yourself back on the game's biggest stage and raise that Lombardi, become coach once again, and captain. Feeling a little rusty on them sticks? Head on over to the main menu.
Squad got it. And we made it through them problems. Now it's God body. We eat, sleep, breathe this. Wave till they seasick. Do it right the first time, they all try to remix. Yeah, they grinded, but we grinded different. Tell them they time is ticking, but we time a fish. Bet not leave a minute, stop it. Something like the goat off in their pocket. Whole squizzy riding with me, who gon' stop it? My day ones here to dance at the beginning. So you know it's only right, that's how we end. Came all the way from losing to winning. Yeah, I did it. But it ain't just me, it's the whole team. Share it with the whole team. Congratulate the whole team. Cause when you riding like we riding with each other, ain't no I in this. It's the whole team. Share it with the whole team. Congratulate the whole team. Cause when you riding like we riding with each other, ain't no I in this.
I'm downstairs. You mean? Girl. I told you I'd be ready. You always got excuses and you know I be on top of things. Punctual my proper name. On the dot is not your aim. Although we in love, we are not the same. I hit you on that celly. You said you needed 5, that was more than 12 ago. Claim you got your hands tied, time stuck like Velcro. Georgia Peach on east side like it's ATL.